Hello and welcome back to Ballarat for the final day of MA1 competition. We are back at it again. Phil Morgan is here, I am here, and we are ready to take you through this final day.
So for this final day of competition in the Vic Open, we have our lead card, Marcus Villotta, Tom Lee, Tim Davis and Gareth Morgan.
Currently sitting at 6 down, Tim leads the way, followed by Marcus Villotta closely in second place at 5 under, and then Tom Lee and Gareth Morgan at 4 down.
As with yesterday, you'll see Tim lean on his defender, putt with his berg. You will see Marcus lean on his PA2s for putting and his FX2 and D1 for distance. Gareth will be throwing a lot of variety, but some graces, his bolt and putting with daggers, and you'll see from Tom some Ballista Pros and nukes, and he'll be putting with Ricos.
So, without further ado, let's get right into the front line.
Hole 1. It is still a long tunnel shot, followed by a sharp dogleg to the left with a Mando on the corner, forcing you to follow down the tunnels. You have quite a major low ceiling throughout the tunnel, but particularly initially off the tee, wanting you to push up that left-hand side to get around that first tree. It's basically throw as far and straight as you can up the guts, get your second shot around the Mando, and then the basket is tucked here in this second corridor off to the right. All of this ground down this corridor towards the end is pretty steep. So first up we have Tim Davis leading the field by 1, and he will be throwing his Grace.
That's a really good looking shot, just punching straight up the middle and getting a nice skip to end up on that left hand side. I think if I could place a drive on this hole, that would probably be where I'd put it.
I think the left hand side can pose some low ceiling issues depending on exactly where you are, but that is a fantastic spot to be off the tee. This hole, by the way, playing as the hardest hole on the course.
Averaging 0.6 over par. It's really not a easy starting hole for a lot of these guys.
But that was a great drive from Marcus, punching it straight up, getting a little drift and ending up on the right hand side of the hole with his H3.
Gareth's just hoping for that Grace to flip a bit more and not quite getting caught up in that left tree.
He had a few times yesterday where he pushed it at the left hand side on a few holes, wanting it to drift and just wasn't quite getting it, getting that turn off the edge of the fairway. And Tom here with his Ballista Pro, and that is a laser beam. That is a fantastic shot. Beautiful shape. Finds himself in the middle, slightly off to the left. Gareth really the only one of the group out of position off the tee.
Throwing that destroyer on forehand, trying to just scramble into some position, and
he's actually pushed, I think, past the last tree up the right hand side, so he should have a wide open look into down that tunnel.
That's a great shot there from Tom. That's about 12 metres.
Yeah, that's a smash. If you can get well into C2 on your second shot, you're very, very happy with this hole. And that was a good one as well from Tim.
Oh, that's missed the Mando. That's not good from Marcus.
It's just a bit of an early release there, I reckon. Maybe trying to underthrow the disc and just slip out, and that is a great recovery upshot from Gareth. Here's Marcus from the drop zone. Nice tidy flick, but it's raced past the basket. Edge of circle, maybe like 8 metres.
That's not good.
Tim with a bit of a longer look there, more of a layup than an actual bid, but should get the job done.
Yeah, good spinny berg upshot. Great putt there from Tom to pick up the elusive birdie on this hole.
Taking 1.6 strokes on the field, that is quite impressive.
It's always nice when you get those points something strokes. They really give you that boost.
They definitely add up, don't they?
Here's Gareth's look at saving his par from probably just edge of circle, just inside.
And this was a really tough one. The wind just kept getting worse as he stepped up, and yeah, just not quite finding that Goldilocks point.
He just tried to float that in a little too much. There's a fine line between floating a putt in and really smashing it in when there's that much wind. And Marcus, in a similar boat, just leaves it a little low.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate start to Marcus's round, taking a double bogey there after posting a hot round yesterday.
Good comeback putt there by Gareth, though. After a pretty unfortunate early tree hit, and there's the par save from Tim. And the wind was significantly higher today than previous days. Hole 2, 100 meters, par 3, uphill. Early low ceiling, early gap to deal with, and then you got a lot of space and then a late gap with the basket tucked off to the right. A lot of people throwing a hyzer fully up the right hand side, or a hyzer trying to get into the gap and just give yourself a long jump putt. Some people will be trying to get aggressive and turn something over into the gap if they can, but you're just playing a little bit of plinko with those last guardian trees at the end there.
Yeah, this hole playing just about on par for most of the players. It's kind of a very elusive birdie, as Phil mentioned, but again, not a lot of things stopping you getting up and down from wherever your drive lands.
Some good drives from the first two, but then Gareth, he tries to push it up that left-hand side, but that ceiling is lower the further left you go.
And Marcus just straight grounding that shot, just a little bit too worried about that ceiling maybe.
Now, given how hard this hole was to birdie, I would like to shout out the chase card in MA2 that star-framed this hole.
Incredible work from those guys.
Some nice upshots here from these guys. Putting it close. Here's Tim's putt for birdie, I believe. And he's just a tiny bit low. He'll take his par again. It's not really a birdie hole for a lot of people.
Great putt. What do you think about it?
Some nice tap-ins here, just taking care of business, trying to basically just get through this first couple of holes and work it out.
And there were 3 birdies in the division on this hole, but it wasn't frequently birdied. Hole 3, par 3, 82 metres, downhill. Strange tee alignment to the initial gap. You kind of want to throw a straight mid-range putter, fairway, whatever your choice is, or a little bit of a flex to compensate for that strange tee alignment.
Tom just overturning things here, possibly a slightly more stable disc choice, but ending up about 11 or 12 with a slightly blocked out look. Tim absolutely lacing this.
That is a beautiful shot. You don't see a ton of shots that nice down this hole.
That's going to leave him about 8 metres left for that birdie. Gareth following suit with a nice drifting backhand, and that's
his buzz, and that's kind of that straightish mid that we were talking about. That's a very nice shot.
Marcus throwing his M1, slightly more stable than that buzz, and fighting out of that flex quite nicely.
And that is a beautiful. That's 3 fantastic. Well, that's 4 really good drives. You'll rarely see a card take that hole on as well as they have.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone getting to pin high or beyond is very good.
That was a great birdie from Tim.
Yeah, really good. Not making the mistake of pushing it too high or low. Just dead center. Very good. Solid putt.
as we've said previous days, if you can get through this early stretch of 6 or 7 holes without too much damage being done, you're very much set up for some big scoring on the back, and that's a great birdie there from Marcus. That's about as close as I've seen anyone be. A little unlucky for Gareth.
Yeah, Gareth just sliding across the face and finishing up with his par, but again, hard to be disappointed with a par through these first 6 or 7 holes. It's a very tough stretch.
Not many cards carding 2 down on that hole.
Hole 4, par 3, 105 metres. The most obvious gap is this left-hand gap for either a forehand or a turnover. There is a bit of a sneaky gap out to the right, which you'll see Tim taking here. Really just got to hit that initial gap, and from there hope to get through those trees, and just doesn't quite manage it.
Yeah, it's a little bit of late plinko on this hole. Playing a little uphill as well. There's not a ton of like major variation in height on this course, but there's a lot of just sneaky elevation changes. Gareth has just not quite turned that one over as much as he wanted, I don't think, and it's kicked left.
Tom's just stabling out a little bit too much. He's going to find himself in mid-circle 2 there.
But this hole is very approachable from almost anywhere, so long as you have some shot shaping ability,
which Gareth puts on display there.
Yeah,
nicely.
throwing the driver for that upshot to give himself that much more controlled S-curve.
Tim here just with a nice backhand approach with his dagger, and that was very nicely shaped.
Here's Tom's look. He's got a long jump putt from probably 17 metres or so. He's given it a good soft bit. Here's Marcus's.
This was a great drive, just really getting that nice skip across and converting nicely on it. That's a great birdie here.
It's a very good one to get. Most of the altered holes from the regular layout played significantly harder than the regular hole, and this was no exception.
Gareth with a great scramble there, ending up making that putt after his upshot. And Tim also tapping in for his par.
Yeah, they haven't exactly left themselves tap-ins on this hole, this card, but they've all done a very good job of converting.
Hole 5 now, the par 4, 206 metres. Want to push a drive somewhere left, right or through those trees to land about here. And then you have a forehand or backhand through to this blue basket. Quite a long hole, just need to get clean through everything. So long as you don't hit a tree, you're in pretty good stead.
Marcus just following up on that line that he threw yesterday, but I think this time he's throwing his D1 potentially.
Absolutely.
And just getting some huge distance. Now Tim throwing probably the more regular line for the higher divisions on this hole. That big turnover, you've just got so much space out there to the left, and it opens up the angle. You can kind of throw a forehand or a backhand where if you go out to the left like Marcus has done, you're a little more limited in what you can throw.
It's more of the roll, is it?
Tom just got a little caught up on that last pop and he's in the middle of the fairway.
Gareth here opting for the roller. We'll see how it travels through that long grass.
The drive's pretty long.
Now there is OB all out to the right, so the roller
just sits down in a nice spot. That should have a fairly straight to hyzer shot for him.
So low.
getting pretty aggressive, I think, Tom there, but just a little low and burnt over. A little earlier than you would have wanted.
This looks great from Gareth. On a rope. Just hopefully fade back.
Beautiful shot. I think that was with his T-bird. And that's big distance for a T-bird as well.
That's good.
Trying the big high turnover is Tim, but
That's just going to push
it's just coasted.
Yeah, that's got all the way through, and I think it's going to be on that other side of the tree line there.
A little bit grip locked there from Marcus. It's kind of hard to know what to do when you get that far up. That is a mash. And Tom's now come up a little bit short on his upshot. Wow, that putt is going to be super easy. Barely inconvenience. That's a huge putt.
That's a really nice putt there from Tom, and just how little left to right deviation out of the hand, that was quite special.
If he has a child, we'd call that a dad putt. There's a lot of Simon Lizotte in that real high floaty putt. Great layup from Tim, but Marcus has just blown it past the basket.
Gareth with a great birdie there. Slightly weird position off the drive, but definitely capitalises on being that far up.
Yeah, now tap-ins for the rest of the card. Moving on to hole number 6. Par 4, 192 metres. You kind of want to either stay out to the left of this big tunnel, out to the right, or stay up the guts. You kind of have to pick which of those you want to do. If you go out to the left with a big high turnover or a forehand, you have a lot of open space to work with to approach the basket, which is on the left-hand side of this tunnel, or you can go up the middle, where you have some low ceilings and trees to deal with. Gareth is going to go with the roller again, with his bolt.
Just going to get caught up in that first tree there, a little bit shorter than he would have liked.
Yeah, the roller largely takes all of the branches and stuff out of play, but if you do square up a tree, it's not going to go through.
Marcus there with the ideal low punching line there, getting into that middle channel, and Tim doing similarly here.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised to see everyone on this card trying to get into the tunnel itself. You'll see a lot of people in these mid to high divisions really trying to get out that left-hand side, which we saw Tom do after his drive yesterday, where he was a little out of position in almost the same spot that he is now. So it'll be interesting to see if he goes for it again.
Gareth going another roller, really just trying to make the most of that position, and I think that's going to end up quite clear out there. It's not going to be up near where he would have a putt, but should be fairly straightforward.
That ceiling really causing some problems for Tom, throwing down the hill into it.
Marcus managing to get under that ceiling, but just pushing it a bit too long. He's going to be left with quite a bit of a comebacker there.
A comebacker with some low-hanging branches and stuff potentially as well. The basket's position is quite well guarded by the surrounding trees.
Tim also pushing it a bit long in the basket, but should also still have a putt. Tom giving that quite the run on his upshot. Should be a straightforward par there.
And Gareth showing why this left-hand side is better, but just not quite getting it under that low ceiling.
Here we see Tim with what he's left for birdie. And just a bit too low to be a run. Maybe a bit of that ceiling coming into play there.
Yeah, I wonder if that was just he accepted the layup straight away, or whether he was trying for something like Marcus just did. Yeah, it's hard to tell what's going on in the players' heads sometimes, particularly with a little bit of wind potentially affecting like what they were trying to do.
Absolutely. Gareth taps in for his bogey. That's a bit unfortunate there, but after the early tree, it was always going to be a bit of a tough scramble.
Thanks,
Up next, we've got hole 7, played as the second hardest hole over the last 2 days. 188 metre par 4. You want to hyzer through this first gap and end up about here to try and either play a flip up to hyzer or a flex shot around and through to this exposed green, which I think has been a bit of the cause of a lot of these higher scores.
The other potential cause is there is that significant low ceiling as you exit that gap. Marcus got through that beautifully. That was a very nice shot, and he's in prime position there.
Tim pushing this a bit straighter, just misses that big clump of trees and will hopefully have a bit of a backdoor route.
Yeah, it's not really where you want to go out to the right there. You can be pretty much have birdie completely out of play if you're in that tree out to the right.
Tom with a very nice drive there. And Gareth just a bit inside. Right type of shape, just way inside, and he's going to end up over on this far left. I'm going to try for roller just to get back into play. No real danger out here, so just trying to make some forward advancement.
But it just hit that upslope and held cut a little harder than you wanted. I think didn't really ever get a chance to stand up. Tom was in perfect position and he's just given himself this big hyzer, and that's a fantastic shot.
That's a great result. An edge of circle birdie putt there for Tom. Marcus going to try and do similarly. And he's navigated those trees nicely, and he'll have pretty similar distance there for his birdie.
Yeah, that's a great shot with his M1. And this is just highlighting how pinched you can get over there for Tim. He just kind of had to get as much right to left movement as he could, and it's a pretty difficult spot to be in, but he threw it very well.
Gareth, fairly routine upshot here. That was a path less travelled coming out this way, but he is in a good spot to potentially make his path.
Good solid soft bid, I would say, from Tim. Well played, stayed close, and as you can see, the wind out on this very exposed green causing some problems there for Tom.
Marcus here trying to make that correction into the headwind, and does so nicely.
Yeah,
that's
great putt.
That's a great birdie here for Marcus.
Not many birdies out there on this hole. Tom with his comebacker, and it's good. Now we'll see Gareth and Tim cleaning up. Not quite the hole I think Gareth would have liked, but
to have escaped with par from where his drive ended up, that is a very well played rest of the hole. I think par was best case scenario, and he's escaping.
Yeah. Hole 8, long and pretty straight par 4, 175 metres. You just want to throw something as far up this fairway as you can. You've got a lot of space out to the left, and then your second shot, you want to hyzer around these trees on the left and just get back to this basket. The only real danger is this early bush on the left, and then the trees out towards where Marcus is pushing on the right. You don't really want to be in there.
Yeah, that's going to be a fairly interesting stance for him there. We'll see what he can manage. Tim also pushing that same bush, but just hyzering out in front of it.
Yeah, he actually pushed the ceiling as well, and that's kind of what saved him, where Marcus stayed away from that ceiling and caught the bush. That's a great spot there from Tom. Really nice drive. His nuke.
Basically a carbon copy of yesterday, I think, for Tom, which I don't think he's going to be complaining about, as Garrett also fights through that tree.
Yeah, they were attracted to that tree today.
Marcus with a roller here, hoping for it to just fight past this tree.
Wow.
That is a great shot.
The result probably isn't exactly what he would have liked, but to be in that tree and then to get it past the basket with an open look is fantastic.
Yeah, his 12 metres will be looking really good right at that.
Here's Tom from that great drive, and that's basically the shape you want.
Yeah, that's much better than yesterday. Actually, punching it through on that straight line, and he'll have a 7-metre putt for birdie.
Almost looked like it buzzed the basket a little bit.
Yeah, it got pretty close.
Yeah. Here's Tim. The slightly straighter angle can sometimes give you problems because it brings that tree on the right a little more into play.
Just pushing a bit long past catch can there.
Come back in.
As Gareth just fights through and really goes close to going in there.
Yeah, he tried to ring that one up as well.
Yeah, definitely one of the easier par 4s out here for this field.
Not a ton of danger. Yeah. Marcus just never really gave it a chance.
Tom for his birdie. Just stayed in, tried to bounce out off that rim, but fell back. That's a very nice birdie there for Tom.
Had a little square dance on the rim right there.
Gareth trying to basically mimic that, and does so nicely.
Good catch, a little high, but when there's wind about, you take every catch that you can.
Absolutely.
Come back up for Tim. Whoa, he's had a square dance on the rim as well, but
Yeah, that's a bit of a rough one for Tim. This basket has not been his friend this last weekend. Hole 9 now, the final hole of this challenging portion of the course. 122 metres, really just want to push something long towards these guardian trees and hope for a nice putt through.
like we saw Marcus get yesterday, one of the very rare birdies on this hole. That's a good shot from Tom. You're not really looking to get into the circle very often on this hole. It's long, it's a very specific line.
I noodle it too much. That's right.
As Gareth pushes up towards the mid-circle 2 range.
Yeah, he crushed that. Marcus attempting to replicate. Just hasn't quite got as much flip up out of it as he would have wanted, I don't think. It's alright. It's a very straightforward par for most people this hole, particularly if you're playing it for par.
I think it's that windy
Tim
out
also
there.
just not quite getting it all the way up and over. But similar to Tom here, should be a straightforward upshot.
Little nose up, ultimate player forehand with the Katuku.
Just a bit short there from Gareth, but even being in those trees, you're still with a fairly short look.
Marcus trying to get a little aggressive, maybe. Still gives himself a very makeable putt.
Oh, and that was a great looking bid from Tim.
Koozie hitter. And a good, really good recovery putt from Gareth.
Yeah, I was really surprised not to see the straddle there, but he got the job done, so no complaints.
Yeah, because of how lower release and very spinny Gareth's putt is, he can kind of stay in that staggered stance and just flick the wrist around the corner.
Yeah.
Just tap ins from the rest of the card, and that's about how you expect that hole to be played.
Absolutely. So, after 9 holes, our card, Tom is leading the way with a 2 under. Marcus following closely with a 1 under. Tim and Gareth both at even par. Overall, we've had a bit of a charge from the chase card with Blake Nichols going 3 down through the front 9 to tie Blake, Marcus, Tom and Tim, leaving a 4-way tie for first through 9 holes.
We'll see how they manage to play out that back 9. Very scoreable. It'll be a birdie or die down the track. Should be a down to the wire battle, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what this card can put up against Blake.
Absolutely. We'll see you next time.